chat. Welcome back to another. Ooh. Okay, we're live. Okay, good. Hey chat. Hopefully, not chat. I'm okay, guys, because I feel like it's kind of weird. I'm just seeing myself, bro. I put my stream like weird. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, stream is good. Ooh, I look chopped, not gonna lie. God damn. Okay, let's watch some videos, guys. Let me just set it up real quick just before I do something retarded. Okay, let's set it up good.
Now this is going to be a banger match. Mexico is set to play against Brazil on May 30th, so we gotta talk about it. You heard that right, it is now confirmed that Mexico will be playing against Brazil on May 30th in Los Angeles, and this game is going to be our very last match before the start of the World Cup. And first of all, I just want to say, these are the friendlies that we should be playing. We need to see Mexico playing against more top tier competition. That way, with the World Cup right around the corner, we can go against the best of the best and be ready for anything.
Hopefully YouTube doesn't strike me down just for that little clip. Cause last time, bro, they were on my dick, bro. They were on my dick. Hopefully they just like, oh, he just showed a little clip. Blah blah blah. Let's watch this.
Can you still collect retro games at a Goodwill? You can, but it's not really how it used to be. To find out how, I took a gamble. Bought a few broken PS2 consoles, repaired them, sold them, and used the profit to dive deep into the Goodwill online auction site. Most of the listings were overpriced until one popped up that changed the entire hunt. What I found is now the most valuable game in my entire PS2 collection.
What do you find?
Other video games with, and I was also my collection. I'm going to do in this episode is list this game for sale because I'm not really a fan of it and it's not in the case, but it is worth a decent amount of money on eBay right now. And I also have this game that's also disc only that I got in the previous episode, but I just never listed for sale. So I'm going to list both of these for sale right now before I get to my game hunting.
Oh, he's the same guy that resells video games. That's kind of cool. The following morning.
So Gauntlet Dark Legacy has sold for $17 plus shipping. So after I print the shipping label, I can give you the exact amount that we're taking home. The Crash game, it's probably going to take a while to sell because it's just a super common game. But for now, I'm just going to package this up and drop this off at the post office on my way to work.
So satisfying, but not gonna lie, I was get this too.
So on my wanted list when I was a kid, but I don't remember anything that happened in it. So I'm really excited to replay it. And this one comes with a manual too, and this is a Blockbuster copy. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully it is not super scratched up. Nope. Edition 2. This is the reason why I got this bundle. Silent Hill 2. I've seen it selling for hundreds before, and this is also on my wanted list. I didn't think I would find it this early in the series. I thought I would have to build up a lot more money before I could get this, but that's the beauty of an auction sometimes. And the disc is in perfect condition. That's lucky, because some of the discs in here were kind of beat up. The manual and the game, though, are perfect. Absolutely 100% keeping this. So a quick price breakdown before I test everything. Pretty dirty. I really hope they're of all that stuff and list that for sale and 19 cents. So all I have to do now is drop. So after all of that, we're adding these games right here to the also on my so being able to walk into a location like this and actually find games on your shelf for $3 to $5 are long gone. Most stores just don't put games out anymore. Even if it's a $2 or $3 game, it seems like video games is just a category for thrift stores now, where that stuff just all gets sent straight to the online auction, if it even gets processed at all, because people that work there will see the games come in and just take them home. But that doesn't mean that you still can't use thrift stores to build a decent products that no one is, and you are
what
gone.
What do you find,
and then
bro?
And this also just kind of took a long time waiting for them to send me all of this stuff. So it's definitely not going to be my primary method. Our final budget should be on the screen right now, and I actually ended up having a pretty decent, healthy budget at the end of this video. So I have plenty of money to go hunt games for our looking for games. There's never any games in there, at least not in my local area, and that's because they put all of their games and more desirable items on their online auctions. I usually don't get involved with those online. They should have just bought it on eBay anyway, but there is a category on there that's pretty much ignored category. Now what's pretty cool, they'll list stuff for parts and repair if they were unable to test it, so there's a good possibility that a lot of those consoles actually work.
There's a Goodwill auction store. Let me check. I don't want y'all seeing my information, so I'm just gonna move to me. What the hell? I didn't know that. Bro, there's some real metal and gold in this shit. What the hell? Let's do. I'm not letting y'all see this because I'm looking at gatekeeping. That's crazy. A PS5 controller for $25. Actually, yeah, I gotta see this shit, bro. That's just kind of crazy. An Oculus is for 97, bro. That's gotta be with shipping, bro. Oh, that's. I'm not gonna mess with that. But dang. Oh, these are just bids. Is there anybody that I can like buy it quickly? Bro, who's gonna buy this, bro? That is crazy, bro. Hopefully Pi sponsor me just because I did that. Bro, an Xbox Series S for $200. A regular Xbox. Dang, these are actually pretty good. Dang, bro. What the hell? But I think this is auction, so what about collectibles? Well, someone is freaky. Damn. Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool, man. I don't want to watch Digi. I feel like he's gonna cry when I see his video. Bro. This horror mod is worse than Epstein? What? Why though?
Dude. I need to give you guys some background on this mod, right? Send me this mod. He told me he was like crying and shit while playing it. Like, bro, there's no way. Oh my god, this is ominous. If you don't know, if you load up this game, it's literally called Trapped. It's not even Minecraft. Alright, we have a machete. Oh, one thing you need to know about this mod, the way you have to like get food, you have to kill animals. They immediately like restore your shit, but everyone gets scared of you. So it's like you're playing like a psychopath or some shit. Also, if I eat any type of food, I'll have the salmonella effect, and I'm gonna get damaged, which is not a great thing. So you know, that is awesome. I will absolutely try my best to not get scared. One thing, the jump scares are really loud in this mod. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's some events that like genuinely startled me, and it was like one that I witnessed. Bro, what are you staring at? I think you guys need to know about this mod. It got removed off of CurseForge like maybe 2 hours ago. Right? I saw this mod like a week ago, but I thought it was some sloppy shit, I'm not gonna lie. And now I'm here playing it. I am actually scared of what's gonna happen, because I was pranking this guy. Dude, Baron went to a maze, and I literally just like... Oh my god! Alright, so then Oh my god! Alright, enough to two-tap pretty much anything, feel me? Okay, we need to make a house. We need to make a house. Minimalistic. Generation is just... First post you is next level. I'm honestly impressed. Also, I talk in there a lot. To blacksmith. Maybe it's 2 villages. Alright, let's just go in, see what we have. Alright, jack shit. Fucking 1 iron and getting some gold. Doing great progress. You already have an iron pickaxe without even going into a cave. I do not want to know what goes on in caves, because I don't know. I'm just gonna make a water bucket in case the ghouls try to do some funny shit. Where am I? Hello. Oh my god, my voice is so cooked. Do I make a house over here? I don't know if I even want to make a house. I think I should make something in there. What if I like make something on water? That's not even bad because it's flat. It is stupidly empty, but like it's almost nighttime, so we gotta like clear this out. Guys, we're gonna make a cube. We're gonna make it like we're gonna advance later because we need to have something. And after you know. Oh, also if you place blocks too fast, they disappear. I don't know why. You need to see. Look at it. I'm a step ahead. I'm not complaining. I want to get some sick enchantments later. Oh god, I need to hurry up. Oh, the beta. I hate the beta lighting so much. It's so dark everywhere. God damn it. I don't even have enough to fill the floor in. Alright, so how cooked am I? Je suis Roderick. Like abonne-toi. Dude, I'm so glad I found a village at the beginning. Oh, how much joy it brings me. No desperation. And the events went crescendo into madness. What a beautiful way to put it. So stylish. I know. Oh, it is so dark. Oh my god. I literally cannot see anything. Yeah, this is not gonna be great.
Let me call Vale, bro, because we're probably gonna hop on Roblox. What if I say the N-word? If I say the N-word, will I get more popular or not?
Your call has been forwarded.
Of course he's not gonna answer. You're probably sleeping again, bro.
I've been having strange dreams about my childhood imaginary friend Marshmallow. It's like I'm back at school, roaming the halls. And then all of a sudden, there he is. He can barely fit in the place. And suddenly, a large crowd forms. It's like Beatlemania all over again, this time with Marshmallow. Everyone's pulled out their phones, they're taking pictures, they're giving hugs.
Bro. Alright, let's watch more videos. Yeah.
In November 2011, a brand new account on YouTube would upload his first video. It would very quickly garner a large amount of views, amassing 142,000 in his first month on the platform.
Why though?
It was unusual for a video from a new account with no following to get so many views so quickly back in this era of YouTube. But in this case, you can chalk it up to the bizarre and extraordinary nature of this clip. Its title being, "You have 30 days to pay me $5 million. The video starts with a first-person view of somebody messing with some crude electronics on a remote control car, eventually showing the audience that they attached a camera onto it. The cameraman is now on a plane. We get a montage of his flight until we see that he appears to be landing in some sandy desert country.
Interesting. Ooh, sour. Like cashew. What's sour? Oh, cashew nut. I gotta write down my stuff. My calories.
Once he gets into his room, he unpacks all his equipment, which we don't yet know just what he's planning to do with. He leaves the room and we can see, judging on the cityscape, that he appears to be somewhere in the Middle East. He takes a motorbike and he starts driving through the palm tree laden streets. We get another driving montage. This time though, our cameraman seems to go quite a bit of ways out of town, until the video fades to black before showing us just where he was traveling to all this time. The cameraman is in Egypt, right by the Great Pyramids. Somebody directs him to an opening in one of the walls. He messes with his bag, and we get a brief glimpse of the RC car snaking through the narrow tunnels of some presumably ancient underground structure, before the video once again fades to black for a final time. Before ending though, we're shown a URL, nowiknow.com. Visiting this page greets you with a countdown, telling the reader that unless the site's owner is paid $5 million by the time the counter hits 0, he will release a full video, apparently implying that the camera on that RC car filmed something remarkable in some forgotten passage in one of the pyramids. Interestingly enough, this website was localized into several different languages, and there were social media accounts linked here for just about every major platform at the time. Under both of these rows lays an email address, nameless@nowiknow.com. Judging by the general time period this was all put on the internet, the person behind this video and site might be implying that they discovered some earth-shattering revelation inside the pyramids. The late 2000s and early 2010s was when the show Ancient Aliens held a small slice of the pop culture zeitgeist, and the idea that ancient societies held extraordinary secrets hidden away by today's elites was a common thought in some people's minds. It's understandable why this spread so quickly. This sort of ancient alien conspiracy niche on YouTube was popular at the time.
What then we need to like go inside of it? Like, you know? Let's just go inside, bro. I mean, who's stopping us? The wind? Like, just break it down. Let's get inside, bro. What do we care about the pyramids? What are we even gonna do with them? Are we gonna... What, are we gonna use it for... some? Because, to be honest... Just destroy every pyramid and let's see what's inside. Like, I don't know what's the point of just...
And it's not every day somebody uploads a first-person point-of-view travel vlog showing exactly how they brought a camera-rigged remote control car to the Great Pyramids in Egypt. Even if this was some sort of ARG, it was still a high effort production. Users on Reddit initially assumed that because of the slick nature of this whole thing that maybe it could be some sort of marketing campaign for a movie or TV show. But one Redditor noted that the domain information for the Now I Know website didn't line up with other such guerrilla marketing stunts. Nothing related to the domain led back to any sort of movie studio or any corporation at all. This was in all likelihood something produced by an individual. Maybe there really was something to this. Let's analyze this video. Judging the surroundings we see when the cameraman is traveling to the airport, he appears to be from some Eastern European country. And indeed, doing an image back search on a frame that shows the airport he flew out of reveals that he was departing from Kaliningrad in Russia. We can tell from one of the scenes on the plane that the person filming is indeed a man. We can also do an image back search to reveal that this guy was not actually landing in Cairo, but instead in the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh, which is about a 500-kilometer drive away from Cairo and the pyramids. This is going to be important in a second. Whenever our cameraman is outside in Egypt, he always appears to be in Sharm el-Sheikh. Nowhere in Cairo near the pyramids is quite as laid back as this, and every image back search I did on screen caps of the streets he's on always led back to Sharm el-Sheikh. He eventually gets on a motorcycle, drives out of town, and just sort of appears at the Giza pyramids. I don't buy for 1 second that this guy went on a 6-hour motorbike trip along the Suez Canal into Cairo. I did notice that outside Sharm el-Sheikh there was this weird artificial pyramid complex, but I don't think this is where our guy went. He did genuinely film himself at the Cairo pyramids, but what he doesn't show us is his RC car. He implies that he pulls it out of his backpack and drives it through some tunnel, but we never actually see it come out of his bag. The only time we see it in Egypt is when he uses it in his hotel room, which, judging by the wristband he's wearing and the logo on the balcony door, appears to be the Marmara Sabina Resort. By the way, notice how he takes the mirror off the wall before filming the RC car on the desk in the room. This guy went to great lengths to hide his identity. While people are speculating what the point of this video was, an important thing seemed to be absent from the conversation. Just who is this guy expecting to pay him $5 million? The way this is presented resembles a ransom situation, but what exactly is being held ransom? Is the Egyptian government gonna pay this guy to keep him quiet? We didn't have to wait long to answer that question. The timer in the website would eventually run out, and nobody paid our man, so he released a full video like he threatened to, which was via a download on his website that was quickly mirrored to LiveLeak.
LiveLeak? Is there some more inside of it?
As the video starts to glitch, the car eventually gets to a sharp incline. It hovers at the edge for a second, then starts to go down it, with the video wavering more and more the further it gets, eventually cutting out completely. We get a screen of text before the video closes out, telling us that OP failed to get more info on this, but something is going on down there, and he's not going to tell you the location of the tunnel either. This wasn't some elaborate ransom situation, high-effort scam, or guerrilla marketing campaign. It was most likely a hoax made for attention. Maybe it's a fun project some Russian guy did while on vacation at an Egyptian resort. In fact, there are bus excursions to the pyramids from Sharm el-Sheikh, which is where the bus footage we see probably comes from. This video would garner almost 500,000 views before it was mysteriously taken offline sometime in the mid-2010s, along with the website and all associated social media accounts. It was almost as if this guy just wanted to disappear from the internet. This might have been the end of the story, but luckily, it wasn't. You see, it might have seemed like I was showing you screenshots of YouTube, Twitter, and this guy's website, but that's not entirely true. What I was actually showing you were archives of those pages. Mirrored copies downloaded and preserved forever by a foundation known as the Internet Archive. Other than those 2 Reddit posts, the only website I sourced information and material from for this video so far has exclusively been the Internet Archive. Their mission is to preserve as much of the internet in its current and past states as possible, an almost infinite library of what was and what is. They're a necessity for mine and countless other YouTubers' jobs, and an overall net good for the preservation of human culture. But have you ever stopped to think just what curiosities may lie in the darkest depths of this library? What's been stowed away, buried under mountains of archived Google searches and blog posts, tucked away from prying eyes until someone finally decides to summon it into their web browser. Today, that's what we're gonna do. We're going to dive into this monolith world of archive content and twist it around until we see its dark side. Now I know it may have been a hoax, but the majority of what's to come in this video are real horrors that would have been lost if it wasn't for the Internet Archive. As the World Wide Web was spreading around the globe in the mid-90s, internet enthusiasts were already busy planning how to best catalog it. In 1996, Brewster Kahle, an American tech entrepreneur, founded Alexa Internet, a for-profit web crawling service that would gather information on different websites and provide information on the overall state of the internet, like global site rankings based on visitors and data use. You can think of Alexa Internet as a sort of digital version of Nielsen ratings, which would gather viewing data for different TV channels and programs. In the same year he founded Alexa Internet, Kahle would use the same web crawling technology to put together a non-profit web cataloging service, which he would simply call the Internet Archive. The idea was simple. Instead of just gathering data on web pages, the Internet Archive would instead copy the pages themselves and save them on its own servers. If an important web page ever went down for some reason, it could still be accessed just as it was through the Internet Archive. In the first 5 years of its existence, the Internet Archive would solely rely on Brewster's web crawling technology to archive pages. But in 2001, the foundation would introduce the Wayback Machine, a way for the public to not only easily browse these already extensive archives, but to also save websites themselves to the library, which greatly expanded the breadth of content you could retrieve using this service. There's really not much else to say. The mission is simple: preserve the internet just as it is and was for future generations to enjoy. Although I do want to bring up their headquarters, which is in this old Californian church, and it just looks so science fiction to me. The first thing anybody chooses to do when using the Wayback Machine is to see what the platforms they use now used to look like way back in the day. I'd wager the first thing almost anybody did on this site was to enter in google.com to see what it looked like in the 90s and early 2000s. One thing you might not have noticed though, is that some of these big websites are using domain names that used to exist before the inception of the platforms you associate them with. Discord, for example, may have been launched in 2015, but the archives for Discord.com go all the way back to 1996. It was originally a personal website, a self-hosted page on the internet that's essentially the antiquated equivalent of a social media profile, only existing to express the author's thoughts. Facebook.com in the 90s used to advertise some sort of employee indexing service for large corporations. X.com used to be another personal site. TikTok.com used to be a family blog. This one is a little different from the other. TikTok.com used to be a family blog. This one is a little different from the others. It's pretty detailed and well archived despite being 25 years old. There's a lot of information here. This family's activities and photos were essentially completely documented on the internet for many years. Back in the 90s, this wouldn't have been a very odd thing to do. The internet wasn't nearly as large as it is now, and you wouldn't feel like you were exposing your private life too much by documenting it online. At some point though, likely when the internet began to become much more prevalent in our daily lives, the TikTok family would take their site offline, and of course the domain name would eventually be sold to ByteDance. On Reddit though, one user would discover this long-lost family blog deep in the Wayback Machine's archives, and they would make a post about it on the Internet Mystery subreddit, a place dedicated to solving, well, internet mysteries. What's the mystery here, you might ask?
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure. It was interesting that TikTok.com used to be a family blog, but I'm not sure if there is a mystery here. Regardless of that fact, Redditors will be quick to find one for themselves. The lost media culture of tracking down the origin to every minute detail of every piece of media created by man drove some of these Redditors to treat this family's private life as a lost media search that needed solving. A subreddit would be created to track these people down. They would find addresses, phone numbers, legal papers, court notices, private photos that weren't on the original website. Other users would be quick to label this so-called search as what it really was: stalking. Gang stalking is a delusion that some people have where
imagine your big dude's son and just you get a random phone number about or some random guy talking about, oh, all your information's on Reddit, bro. How I actually like go crazy, because imagine if all your information's on Reddit out of all the things you could have. Yeah, bro. If all my information was on Reddit and my family's info, I will kill myself. Okay, later in the stream we might play Roblox. Might, if he is down. Actually, I think right now.
presumed targeted individuals think they're being stalked by a group of people. It's almost always some sort of paranoid fantasy concocted in somebody's head. But in the case of the original TikTok family, this was by all accounts an actual case of gang stalking, even if it was just a minor one. It goes without saying that not everything in life needs to be tracked down and uncovered in a public manner. Some Redditors would argue that since this family hosted a site with some of their public information for a brief span of time in the 90s and early 2000s, that it was not actually stalking, and they were entitled to know what they were up to now. Thankfully, this so-called search quickly died, and public opinion recently has been much more critical of its existence in the first place, but it goes to show you that sometimes this culture of internet mysteries that YouTubers like me directly contribute to can in some cases turn ugly. The TikTok family site is not the only blog we're going to talk about in this video. Blogs used to be much more common in the early internet than they are now. These days, people either write their brief thoughts on Twitter, or they have a Substack where they act like they're writing op-ed pieces for the New York Times. But 20 years ago, people would write blogs as a sort of public journal, detailing their views and experiences in a long-form way.
7313 said, "Whoa."
Okay.
That just doesn't really happen much anymore.
The fuck?
The thoughts detailed in this vlog we're about to talk about were
get yourself warm,
unusual,
because we're watching videos.
and they preceded something very, very dark. If you go to the Wayback Machine and type in fifthnail.blogspot.com, you'll get a bunch of snapshots from the mid-2000s. Just like the URL suggests, this site is called The Fifth Nail, and it's a public journal written by a man named Joe, who lives in North Dakota. It starts in late 2003, and the first entry recounts how Joe found out that a 5-year-old girl had gone missing from a nearby town in Minnesota a few months prior. He was so worried about being falsely accused of kidnapping that he decided to look through his logs on Quicken, a personal finance software that can keep track
said, "What are we watching?"
We're watching Horrors on the Internet Archive.
of your budget and spending. He concludes that it would be impossible for him to be accused of any crime on that day because of the purchases he made, which were not done in Minnesota. He goes on to complain about the intensifying persecution of sex offenders and how he's writing this blog for his own safety, because it's just a matter of time before he gets falsely accused of a crime. Oh, and he compares himself to a southern black man. He finished the post by talking about what he ate that day and what he did, which was mostly playing the PC game Delta Force. We can already surmise from this first post that Joe is likely a registered sex offender, and indeed the next few posts seem to focus on
just because he was playing that video game.
@Validia7313 said, "Do you watch this in a regular day?"
Nah.
the so-called persecution of his kind, and the various ways people misunderstand him. He says there's no bad people in the world, just people who do bad things. He says that it's very hard for him to make friends and to meet women because most people stop talking to him once they learn about his past.
Damn.
As 2003 rolled into 2004, we get more details about Joe's life. He has cats and he really likes playing Delta Force. He works in IT and he watched Return of the King with his neighbor on New Year's Eve. In one long rambling post without paragraph breaks, he rants about the abuse he suffered as a child and tells us that a crime he committed when he was 16 led to him being put into an experimental treatment program at Western State Hospital in Washington State between the years of 1980 and 1982, which eventually got shut down due to numerous civil rights abuses. He mentions in the following post that he was in jail between the ages of 17 and 38 and outlines some disturbing things about children and adults that I'm not going to repeat here. He continues to rant in following posts that he can't stop thinking about being accused of crimes he didn't commit. He buys a webcam that he can have permanently set up to record his living room in an effort to document his moves as closely as possible in the event he ever needs an alibi for a certain day. He mentions the following week that he accidentally recorded himself naked with his webcam and had to quickly erase it, lest he be accused of being an exhibitionist. In following posts, he continues to repeat the same things about committing some mysterious crime when he was 16 and being thrown in a mental hospital. He also seems to keep close track of whenever people go missing in his area so he can verify that he has a solid alibi in the event the police knock on his door.
At
The next week,
Validia
he talks about enrolling in computer science
7313
classes in
said,
college,
"Can you
along with
PLS have a
documenting
kid? I think you will be a great mother, Diego."
What the fuck are y'all saying, bro? I'm just trying to watch this video, guys. Come on, guys. How can I even be a mother if I can't? If I have a if I have a dick. If I have a dick.
Well, Victor, you got us there.
and analyzing the various dreams he has. He also compares a law passed in Texas which would require sex offenders to be labeled to 1930s Germany when Jews had to wear armbands. This is the general gist of the blog.
What?
Germany when Jews...
Okay, not to be confused with the Animal Wells Child Protection and Safety Act for border coverage of this topic, but see sex offender registries in the United States.
Jews had to wear armbands. This is the general gist of the blog. Joe talks about college, work, his cats, and the apparent perils of being a sex offender. Sometimes he would document every minute detail of a certain day, and other entries would just include some rambling about his thoughts on a particular topic. In mid-2004 though, things would begin to change a bit. In June, he starts to bring up hallucinations he's been having. He would wake up at night and hear and see strange things, and also the feelings of derealization he's been having, along with saying that he can't trust his own mind. In July, his worst fears about being accused of a crime are realized when he's charged with some unspecified felony. He stops posting for a month, and when he comes back, he outlines an incident where the police broke down his door and searched his home. Again, he doesn't post for 3 weeks. His only post in September is this.
I'm home Sunday afternoon, nothing to do. Everything being undone. Nobody to remind me. Life is about giving your choices over to God. Chicken pot pie in the oven. Why can others not see the unity of the universe?
Did somebody say something?
At Validia 7313 said, "Diego, does this happens to you sometimes?"
What happens, bro? What are y'all talking about?
Why are they so blind in their dungeons?
Come on, we gotta lock in, guys. Come
His
on,
posts before may have been unhinged, but they start progressively getting more crazy. By the time 2005 rolls around, he starts having much more paranoid and religious delusions. The ramblings start making less and less sense as they go on. The blog would stop abruptly in May 2005, when he simply writes,
"The demons have taken over."
In this post, he talks about how he used to be Happy Joe, but inside him was a boogeyman, or a demon. He assumed this dark passenger was gone, but it wasn't. It was just laying
At
dormant,
Martin Diaz
waiting for an
1608 said, "I'm scared, worried face."
Don't be scared, bro.
opportunity to jump up and take Happy Joe's place. He concludes the post by saying,
Happy Joe was just dreaming, or pretending to be happy.
This blog on its own is strange and disturbing, but it's what would happen after that really turns this into a tragedy. On July 2nd, 2005, a man and a little girl would enter a Denny's restaurant in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The staff would do a double take at the little girl. They had seen her somewhere before. One of them would conclude that she greatly resembled a missing child that was being broadcast all over the media. Her name was Shasta Grun, and 7 weeks earlier, her family was discovered dead in their home by police. Both Shasta and her brother Dylan, however, were nowhere to be found. The police would rush to Denny's and take Shasta into custody, and they'd arrest the man who was with her, who happened to be named Joseph Duncan, or Joe for short. You see, just 5 days after writing a post saying that demons had taken over, Joseph would enter the Grun family home and kill everybody except for 2 children. He had not known them previously. They were chosen seemingly at random. He would take Shasta and Dylan, and they'd live for the next 47 days in various campsites in the woods. I'm not going to get into any gruesome details here, but Dylan unfortunately did not make it in time to be rescued. The particulars surrounding the Grun family murders and the kidnapping of these 2 children are some of the most horrible things I've ever read. I'm not kidding. Please don't look too much into this, it's truly not worth knowing. After Duncan was arrested, the FBI would launch a nationwide review of unsolved missing children cases, and Joe would be indicted on several other murders which had occurred.
At Validia 7313 said, "Oh no."
That was the latest reaction on
In the 1990s.
Dang, that's crazy,
he was put on death row for his crimes, but would die of a brain tumor in 2021 before he could fulfill his sentence. At some point during his various trials, people would eventually find Duncan.
He would have been raped, he would have been killed, he would have been abused in jail, bro. But I guess
blog, and they leave their honest thoughts about him in the comments section, which would prompt Joe to just delete the whole thing. This blog might not have been much on its own, but knowing the horrible things this author had done and would go on to do gives it an awful significance as a detailed look into the head of one of the most depraved and evil people to ever walk this earth, and it's one of the most terrifying sights I've stumbled across on the internet, one that would have been lost to time had it not been for the Internet Archive. The fifth nail is definitely one of the darker things I've covered on this channel, so this next topic might be somewhat of a short palate cleanser.
At Validia 7313 said, Duncan, "Can you stop tapping my cat? She said it to small Diego."
What the fuck are y'all talking about? I never even touched your cat, bro. Even if I touch your cat, is it like animal abuse? Sorry guys, my friends wanna hang out outside for some reason. I'm telling them no, cause it's like too dangerous outside, guys. We can't.
Just about anything is a palate cleanser, even an early internet mystery that happens to focus on a pretty twisted concept.
Plus I'm broke, so.
In early 2025, a user in the internet mystery subreddit would make a post about a site called eCuerpos, Spanish for e-bodies. They say that around 20 years ago, a friend had told them about the site. Their friend described it as a sort of marketplace for human cadaver parts. OP didn't want to have anything to do with such a website, so they just ignored their friend. But the idea lay dormant in the back of their mind ever since. Until now. They decide to load up the Wayback Machine, type in the URL, and sure enough, there were snapshots that lined up with when OP had first heard about the site. Everything here is in Spanish, but both English and Portuguese translations are offered and have luckily been preserved. The page is exactly as OP's friend described it, a marketplace for human body parts. A female left arm is $2,600, a male ear is $1,900, and if you're willing to dish out a lot of cash, you can even purchase a full human body for just under $200,000. Each listing is accompanied by pictures of what's being sold and a 5-star rating. They offer information about the deceased person's age, along with their race and continent of origin. If we navigate over to the company page, we learn that eCuerpos has been serving the South American market since 1994. You might be thinking that this is screaming hoax, but you should keep in mind that the human cadaver market is very real. We talked about it at length in my Horrors on the Chinese Internet video. There's a large grey market out there for human body parts to be used for medical study and other less noble purposes. It's also important to remember that the early internet was not quite as lawful and well policed as the web is nowadays. You didn't have to use something like the dark web to find a drug marketplace or illegal content. You could readily find it on the surface web. eQuidpos promises to protect the privacy of their clients, who tend to be scientists and so-called human body enthusiasts. On their FAQ page, they mention that buyers should keep in mind the laws in their own country surrounding organ trafficking. If we look up black market cadaver hotspots in the mid-2000s, we can find a list that mentions Colombia as a global supplier of illegally obtained human body parts. They specifically say in this article that there are several Colombian-hosted websites that offer human body parts for sale.
What?
Could this be one of them that just so happen to be captured and preserved on the Wayback Machine? Let's keep digging. You'll notice that at the top of the page here is a link to another website called calresco.org. This site actually still
@Validia7313 said, "Can I tap you again just like last night? You can't handle it."
No, bro. Dang it.
exists in almost the exact same form as it did all the way back in 2005. The page appears to center around the concept of complex systems in science. It's a little hard to understand, but it seems to be talking about systems that have many different components that interact with each other to form a sort of organized chaos. The economy is a good example of a
like burning hot right now.
Complex system. It's easy to understand on a very small scale, but when it's all put together, it becomes this huge, writhing, interconnected mess. I'm not actually sure what this site has to do with eQuidpos. There's no mention of it anywhere here. If this was a hoax, I feel like this would be an intentional red herring. There's not really much else we can talk about concerning the site itself, so why don't we see what the internet users of 2005 had to say about it. On the site hoaxes.org, an early internet platform dedicated to exposing the many hoaxes of the old web, one commenter mentions eQuidpos on an unrelated post.
Ew. I just tried ordering an eyeball from eQuidpos. The e-commerce functions don't work.
Huh, that's weird. I wonder why that is. Yeah, this was all a hoax. It was made to promote a mobile phone web show made by MTV in 2005. One that's about a couple of students trying to perform a successful human head transplant, but that's not actually where the story ends. You see, one thing we haven't talked about are the pictures on eQuidpos. They're likely showing actual dead bodies, specifically ones that are in a state of pallor mortis, the first stage of death that occurs for people with light skin. It's a specific kind of paleness that occurs in the first 2 hours after death. These images weren't taken from somewhere else on the web, at least nowhere that exists anymore. It's a little dark to think that a major American broadcast network found pictures of people who just died to put up on the internet. If that wasn't bad enough, we can return to the Wayback Machine, where we can navigate over to the URLs tab. This section shows all the different addresses that have been preserved by the Internet Archive for a given site. Here we can see all the different pages we've already visited, but also some hidden ones that are not actually listed anywhere on the site.
Amateur.html, Asian.html, blonde, drunk, teen.
It gets much worse than this. We don't really have to go over every one. Now, these snapshots always seem to result in 403 forbidden pages. While it might seem like these addresses did exist at one point in time, and it is absolutely possible, these also could have been the result of someone trying to hack into the server hosting this website. One technique to do this is to query as many different page URLs as possible to see which pages exist on a website that just aren't linked to anywhere. You can gain useful information from doing this. For example, we can see an Apache test page on this legal.html URL which tells us that the server is running Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We've gained some knowledge about the system hosting this site that we weren't supposed to have. While this is a fairly common penetration testing technique, it doesn't explain why these pages are archived in the Wayback Machine. Either somebody in the mid-2000s went and manually entered a bunch of questionable non-existent URLs into the Wayback Machine, or the Internet Archive web crawlers were picking up on some very concerning stuff coming from an MTV web server. Either way, this is still a solved internet mystery, just one that has a few dark questions still attached to it. Okay, is your palette feeling cleansed now? Good, because we're about to uncleanse it. eQuidpos was not the only early internet site archived in the Wayback Machine claiming to give users access to a human body. Like I said earlier, the Web 1.0 era of the internet was a lot less policed and much more chaotic than the sanitized major platforms we're used to seeing now. Instead of posting content to an existing platform, people would usually make their own websites from scratch and host them themselves. Instead of using a search engine, people would use their sites to link to other people's sites, making the internet in this era a true network of interconnected pages. One such page of links happens to be a now defunct site called necrobabes.org. This 2001 site describes itself as erotic horror for adults, and on its main page you can find many different sub-sites created by the different Necrobabes administrators. The content here seems to range from creative writing and gothic art to more risque content. The term erotic horror may bring to mind sleazy 80s slasher movies, but a lot of the stuff on Necrobabes happens to be much more twisted than that. A lot of these sites are dedicated to dark fetishes, like asphyxiation or pretending to be a dead body. Some of these sites sell VHS tapes. Some of them are just personal pages hosted by the people involved in this strange community. One Necrobabe site in particular, though, will become infamous for a very depraved reason: the Cannibal Cafe. On this site, you can find a gallery of extreme images depicting some of the bizarre interests common on these Necrobabe sites. You can also find a page where you can apply to be somebody's livestock, and another page called Impalement FAQ that I'm not going to show you almost any of because it focuses on a concept called consensual barbecuing. This is all obviously pretty depraved, but that's not really what we need to focus on. The important thing here is the Cannibal Cafe message board. This is a forum for people who partake in these interests. People on this forum either write posts searching for so-called human livestock, or they write advertising themselves as such, like this post.
Male for sale. I would like to be impaled and barbecued. I need tenderizing first and gilding. Would like to be roasted alive.
These posts are absurd to the point of being funny. The idea that somebody would be interested in stuff like this just seems too ridiculous to be serious. Yeah, maybe some of these posts are indeed just kind of taking the piss, but there is a very real darkness hidden away in this archive.
Slaughter Boy wanted. Are you between 18 and 25 years old, normal build, and healthy? If it is your desire to put an end to your life, but you want something more reasonable to become of you, then come to me. I will slaughter you and turn your body into delicious schnitzels and steaks.
This was posted by user Frankie on February 22nd, 2002. It's a very typical post on this forum. The unusual aspect to this post, though, was that somebody would indeed take Frankie up on his offer.
Dear Frankie, I have been looking for an experienced butcher for a long time.
Oftentimes, discussions like this don't make the transition from internet into real life. They're just role-playing and fantasy. This situation was different. Only 6 days after the interested party responded to his ad, Frankie would schedule a meetup with him. They both happened to be German. Frankie in real life was named Armin Moose, and the respondent to the ad was named Bernd Brandes. They met in a train station in the city of Kassel, and together they headed back to Armin's place. They cuddled for several hours before deciding to act out what they had discussed on the internet. Bernd had very specific wishes of what he wanted to have done to him. He wanted Armin to start with his reproductive organs, so he did, but he couldn't manage to physically complete the act with his teeth alone. Armin then went to a nearby pharmacy and picked up sleeping pills, cough syrup, and alcohol to give to his partner. Upon returning, he decided to use a knife to finish what he had started. Brandes then wanted Armin to cook what he had cut off so they could both eat it together, but Moose accidentally burnt the meat, and it was inedible. He then helped the now severely injured Bernd into the bath, where he lay slowly losing blood. He then got into Armin's bed, where the combination of low blood pressure and the
But my friends are calling you, bro. ¿Qué pasó?
Wait, I was gonna spark club, but this looked too cold.
Cooking with Mike. Cooking with Mikey. That's fucking sick.
Cooking with the baddies.
What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck? Watch out, bro.
What you shaping it up? Right? What you gonna make us say?
Making eggs.
Some eggs with no salt. Bacon, egg, and cheese. Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Forgot the salt, cuz.
He's in the bottom left corner. Mikey.
Yeah, no.
Zesty sauce.
Oh, that's Yogi.
What is squad?
Bro, I remember we left Michael's party. Your mom was getting so concerned, like, who's driving y'all back home?
Who drove?
You're welcome. Is that the one that wouldn't leave and was here till like 2:30 in the morning? No, that's not.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Look at the cameras, nigga was just sitting on my couch eating my chips and shit.
Nigga, you living at your crib?
Yeah.
I told you not to run from the cops.
Shit told me and Hector not to run from the cops till we got pulled over.
Day in the life of Michael. Day in the life of Michael Jackson.
Mañana sí. The day in the life of a gay Italian.
What a fucking comedian.
Cocktail medications he had taken had him hallucinating and drifting in and out of consciousness. They made plans about what part they would cut off and eat tomorrow, but before that could come to fruition, Bernd would take his last breath. Armin wasn't quite done yet though. He divided the body of his now deceased partner and put it in his freezer, where he would periodically take a piece out and cook it like any other cut of meat. He would continue doing this for 10 months. Armin would eventually be arrested after another user of the Cannibal Cafe forum would report his post to the police, and they found the remaining pieces of Brandt's body after searching his property. Police would also learn that Brandes wasn't the only man Armin had met on the Cannibal Cafe forum. Between 2001 and 2002, Armin had arranged up to 40 so-called slaughter meetings with young men, but the only person he met that was willing to go all the way was Bernd Brandes. The consent Armin received to play out this horrible act was a confusing thing for the authorities. None of this happened under any sort of coercion, and the victim had been a willing participant in all stages of the act. Brandes, though, had taken mind-altering doses of different medications, which may have impaired his ability to consent, and on top of that, killing is never legal even if the victim wants it. Armin Moos would eventually be convicted of manslaughter in 2004, but 2 years later in 2006, he would be retried and found guilty of murder, being sentenced to life in prison. The most disturbing thing about this story is that from the time Bernd and Armin initially got home to the time Brandes ultimately passed, Armin had a camera set up in the corner and had been filming everything. This videotape was the key piece of evidence that would lead to Armin's charges being escalated from manslaughter to murder, and is likely one of the most disturbing pieces of lost media to exist. After Armin was arrested and word spread quickly about the website, the Cannibal Cafe forum would close its doors and would ultimately go offline for good in 2003. If it wasn't for the Internet Archive, we never would have gotten this eerie look into one of the most depraved sagas to come from the early internet.
This is a saga?
The Internet Archive has been instrumental in not only preserving these important and disturbing parts of internet history, but also for solving lost media cases. You might remember when they found the location of the Backrooms photo back in 2024, that was only because the original site that hosted the photo all the way back in 2004 just so happened to be archived on the Wayback Machine. Our last case for today happens to focus on a similar lost media hunt. The YouTube channel Watch Data is known for producing this very particular format of infographic videos. They're all presented the exact same way. A sliding chart will be shown detailing where certain entries land on the spectrum of a certain topic, like human evolution timeline, which shows the different types of humans in order of oldest to newest. Every video is pretty much exactly like this. This channel probably just has a Premiere template they throw different visual assets onto and can make videos in like 5 minutes. One of Watch Data's uploads happens to focus on a topic that's pretty familiar to me and viewers of my channel: YouTube's creepiest videos. While you might assume the sliding scale here might be something like least to most creepy, it's not actually that. It's showing you videos in order.
@LilFlipper1 said, "Hello, the mod is here."
To who? Oh, a mod.
Order of most views to fewest views. This is an interesting way to present this topic. It makes you want to watch to the end to see which video has the least views. All the standard creepy YouTube fares here, like Salad Fingers, I Feel Fantastic, Little Baby's Ice Cream. You've likely heard of most of these already, but things get more interesting when we get to the end and we start seeing the less viewed videos. And in fact, the last entry on this list has a mere 77 views. It's called Play 2 and was supposedly uploaded by a channel known as Mother8538. While we don't see the video itself, we do see the thumbnail, which shows a hand holding a
@LilFlipper1 said, "We got school caniseed."
Caniseed. I think you meant canceled. Good job, bro. Good job, bro. Now watch this video.
Lighter. If you search Mother8358 Play 2 on YouTube, you won't see the video from the Watch Data list. You'll only find other videos talking about it, all of which inform the viewer that Play 2 is considered to be lost media. Redditors will be quick to try to solve this mystery. One user was able to find an Internet Archive snapshot of Mother8538's channel page. Now the video links present here have been archived and neither has any thumbnail, but we can see that Play 2 did indeed exist, and the other videos from the channel also just have one word as the title, like punish, think, and wait. If you try to take the channel URL from the Wayback Machine and visit it on live YouTube, you'll simply be told that the channel does not exist. This might sound like a dead end, and it likely is. A video with 77 views being taken off of YouTube is going to be next to impossible to find. It would be incredibly unlikely that somebody just so happened to archive it or mirror it anywhere. That wouldn't stop the lost media search though. A subreddit would be created, and the hunt would continue. As you can imagine, in a case like this, just about everything found so far has been false leads. People show up with wild claims that never actually lead anywhere. Some users are trying to identify the carpet shown in the thumbnail, others are passing off recreations as the original video. For some reason, many people have come forward to claim they saw Play 2 before it was taken off of YouTube, which is a little hard to believe considering just how obscure this video is. The Chinese internet would also get involved, with the community surrounding the case being formed on Bilibili, the Chinese equivalent to YouTube. Here, people would add on to the Play 2 lore by uploading what they claim to be the other videos from Mother8538's channel. Now these are able to be verified because we know next to nothing about the actual content of these now lost videos, but that wouldn't stop people from treating them as if they're real. One user suggested tracking down every viewer of Play 2 to interview them about the clip's content. And here is where I ask, what is the point of all this? This is one of those lost media cases where you can easily argue that the work in question has been fully lost. Even if we generously assume that 5% of the 300,000 watch data viewers actually went and searched for Play 2 on YouTube, that would only give this video 15,000 views before being taken offline. The likelihood that somebody saved it even with that many views is very low. I have videos with view counts like this that have never been mirrored, and I have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Mother8538 had 23. This video is almost certainly gone from the internet, and was it even that interesting to begin with? Do you think the watch data researchers went to great lengths to find an amazingly creepy video that only had 77 views? I find that pretty unlikely, considering the effort they put into the rest of the research. Like that Mumtaz Begum video only being listed with 3,000 views, despite the multiple mirrors of this video that exists on YouTube which have garnered millions of views each. One video near Play 2 in the list only had 600 views. This one just shows a woman crying for 2 minutes. There's nothing particularly unsettling about it. She just seems sad.
I'll give her a hug. I mean, the drawings looks kind of weird. So, I guess
another video has 400 views, and it's just a mundane Urbex clip that clearly wasn't intended to be scary in any way.
It's like some old ass shit right here, dude. Fucking badass. That's some scrap metal.
For all we know, the Mother8538 video could have just been somebody flicking a lighter. We have no reason to think this video is interesting or holds any sort of significance. So why go to such efforts to find it? Lost media can be really interesting when the work at hand is important in some way or is just considered to be worth experiencing. But why?
TLDR, don't waste your time with
There's nothing quite as relaxing as a walk through the woods. There's just something about briefly leaving civilization behind to wander through nature that clears your head like nothing else is able to. But as calming as a hike can be, this activity does potentially invite some darker possibilities as well. When you leave town to walk alone in a remote area, you're not just shedding the stress and aggravations of modern life, you're also forfeiting the safety and security it provides you.
Diego, why does little girl likes little boys?
Say what? Okay, so you're saying why does little girls and like little boys? Think cause just cause I guess. Just cause they want to. Now if it's a grown ass man with a little girl, that's a problem. Same with a grown ass woman with a little boy. Which is crazy. I saw a video of a grown-ass woman marrying it with a little boy, and nobody's sitting on it. Nobody. Look, let me find the video.
At Triley 8234 said, "Little girls like little boys cause little girls like little boys."
Oh, okay, gotcha. Look, I think this was. Bro, if y'all see a young girl with a big ass man, please report it, please.
At Validia 7313 said, "Guys, are we going to play Fortnite?"
No, bro, we're playing Roblox because my computer.
At Triley 8234 said, "Would you ever consider child marriage?"
Bro, no, bro. What kind of question is that, bro? That ass. Like, if I see my little cousins or my little friends, like my friend's little brother, like getting forced to marriage, bro, I will actually say something for once in my life. I'll actually be like, "Yo, that's kind of wrong. Can we like talk about this?" And like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? They don't even have the mind of.
At Validia 7313 said, "But what if?"
But what if what, bro? What's wrong with you? What? Mod,
in the further reaches of woodland, you're just as vulnerable as the animals that scurry away when they see you. And this makes you a prime target for any predators that may or may not be hiding in the shadows. In late 2013, the following video would appear and subsequently become widely circulated on the internet due to its unsettling nature.
What the heck? He dead? He alive? He's both? You took out the answers, Wade. Yeah, I forgot to feed my animals. Nah, they can wait. Oh, okay. Let's go. She's still alive.
At Validia 7313 said, "STFU."
Why?
At Triley 8234 said, "Donated $1 Thursday super chat. Would you ever put it inside a homeless man?"
Let me just to make sure you don't even want. Would you ever try it inside a homeless? Who is this? Would I put it inside a homeless man? Put what? Put what? I pray that I don't think what you're saying is true, bro. Oh, that scared me, bro.
The clip is just under a minute long, and it was given the title, "I Made a Friend on the Mountain, Wait for It."
What the hell?
In it, a woman can be seen hiking alone in the distance, until the camera turns around to show the man filming wearing a balaclava and smiling maniacally. In the description, the OP states that this is how he likes to spend his time when he's at the peak. And more disturbingly, he writes, "I'll upload the rest of the video later." In the first couple weeks of this video's life online, it would amass more than 17,000 views, in turn causing a great amount of concern among its viewers. What if this clip was a precursor to something awful that happened to this woman? Online sleuths would begin investigating. They would quickly figure out that the clip was recorded on Montera Mountain outside Half Moon Bay in California, and local police would start an investigation after being contacted dozens of times by internet users. It wouldn't take law enforcement long to track down the creator of this video, who goes by Gort Evans. He's a California-based mechanic who has a tendency to make quirky videos on the internet.
Okay.
Police would end up spending 40 minutes questioning Gort, who would actually film some of their discussion to share on social media.
Yes, I am. I'm going to put this online. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What can I do for you today?
Well, I think you probably have some idea why we're here to talk to you today.
I'm somewhat, but I'd like you to explain it.
Okay. Well, somebody contacted the police department.
Yes.
They found a video on a website. That
Yes,
was
they did.
Involving a female hiker. Top of Montana Mountain.
Yes.
Sound familiar?
Yes, it sounds very familiar.
Appears to be you shooting the photo.
It probably appears to be me. Yes, it does.
Okay. Was it you?
Why would I answer that? What, is there a crime?
Well, that's one of the reasons we're here.
At Validia 7313 said, Diego, would you go outside and twerk for $100 for us?
No.
Because your video ends
Yes,
abruptly.
it does end abruptly. Did you do any research onto my online persona, my Gort Evans? Did you look at any of my other Live Leak videos?
Well, now you're asking me questions.
Well, yes, it's only fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions if you want to turn the video camera off.
I am not going to turn the camera off. Because this is what I do. I love making videos. This is hilarious to me. Hi.
I really don't.
The police would also manage to track down the woman in the video, who is thankfully okay. By coincidence, she had actually come across a recording of social media all on her own, shocked to find herself portrayed in some creepy voyeur clip. She would write a letter to the local news talking about how hiking was helping her get through her cancer treatment, but ever since seeing herself in that video, she's been avoiding that trail. She also mentions that she does remember passing by the man filming, who appeared to be hiding in a cave. He made her nervous, so she gave him a wide berth and continued her hike as usual. Gort hadn't really committed a crime, but the police, the community, and the woman in the clip all asked if he would consider removing the video, which had been causing a lot of fear surrounding public safety on the hiking trails that snake around Half Moon Bay. He refused to do so, stating in his talk with the police that everybody should have watched his other videos so they'd know that he was just joking. Gort isn't the first person to be stubborn about being creepy on the internet, and in the end, he didn't face any repercussions for his video. But what is weird about this situation is what happened after. Members of the social media site that Gort had originally posted his video to would all come to his defense, sending hate mail and even death threats to the journalists that reported on the story and the policemen that were involved in the investigation. What sort of community would so strongly come to the defense of someone who had made such an objectively creepy video? The answer to that question is that on the platform that Gort had uploaded his video to, his clip was in reality one of the most mundane pieces of media there. If we were to treat this site as an iceberg, Gort would be sitting at the very top, with everything below him being progressively more and more disturbing. This platform was home to some of the most vile content on the public-facing internet throughout the 2000s and the 2010s, eventually getting shut down due to its lawless nature. This site was none other than LiveLeak.com.
I remember.
No matter how old you are, or how long you've been a citizen of the internet, chances are pretty good that you've heard of LiveLeak in some capacity. Maybe you've seen some meme about the LiveLeak logo appearing in the top left corner of a video, indicating that something really bad is about to happen. Or you've seen the LiveLeak name attached for no reason to random shock videos that have found their way onto your screen at some point in your life. No matter what the context may have been, hearing the name LiveLeak probably elicits feelings of danger and unease. But because LiveLeak hasn't existed for half a decade now, we almost forget that this wasn't just some branding for horrible shock videos. It was an actual social media platform just like the one you're using to watch this video right now. And it has a history that I've never seen told on YouTube before. The story of LiveLeak is inseparably tied to the time period when it was most popular. Nowadays, shock content isn't as centralized as it used to be. It just kind of pops up in places where people already congregate on the internet, like Reddit or Twitter. But having a place like LiveLeak act as a definitive home for shocking and disturbing videos means that this platform's story is essentially the story of all esoteric and dark media that was circulating on the internet in the 2000s and the 2010s. So if you're at all nostalgic about these time periods, you're likely going to enjoy this video. This is going to be a long one, so sit back, grab a nice snack and a drink, and let me tell you about some insane stuff from the internet's most infamous shock site. Have you ever noticed while on a road trip that all small towns and cities just kind of have the same stuff? No matter which one you're traveling through, you're always going to see the same few franchise businesses copy and pasted from town to town, with each one having the same boutique main street with the small local shops that sell handmade soap and vintage clothing, and the outskirts that always have the same stroads outlined with Boston pizzas, Canadian tires, and gas stations. It almost makes traveling a little boring with every place just kind of being the exact same, and that's exactly how the internet is nowadays. Your time online is pretty much always spent using the same few websites. Sometimes something novel like W Place comes along and you're suddenly spending time somewhere new, but these are usually flashes in the pan, and you quickly forget about them and go back to surfing Reddit or YouTube. If the modern internet is akin to driving through small towns in modern-day Canada, the internet of the early 2000s was more like traveling through villages in the American Wild West. There were no multi-billion-dollar companies giving you predictable and repetitive experiences. People would mostly spend their time surfing small handmade websites that were essentially unpoliced by any kind of authority. While internet service providers could and sometimes did block access to websites that shared shocking or cross content, this rarely happened, and the internet users of Web 1.0 were pretty much free to share whatever they wanted on their own sites they hosted and maintained themselves. And believe me, they absolutely took advantage of this truly unrestrained free speech. In the year 2000, a mysterious team supposedly based in the Netherlands would launch a site called Ogrish.com. The goal of their platform was to host and share shocking video content, such as clips of car accidents, war footage, and videos of people getting hurt or killed in various ways. This wasn't a new idea. Shock sites were a dime a dozen in this era of the internet, but there was something special that set Ogrish apart from the rest. While Ogrish may have started out like its peers, posting whatever shock content they could just for the sake of it, they eventually would reframe the mission of the site to be more oriented around current events. Instead of just sharing random clips of people dying for no real purpose, Ogrish would instead begin to share these videos with some context and sometimes even a story attached to them. They wouldn't be reposting the same 15-year-old Faces of Death shock videos, they would start to focus on posting fresh content that was relevant to the modern day. The creators would write a script that would scan extremist Islamic web pages to alert them if any new media was found. They would begin hiring people to hunt down the latest pieces of shock media attached to current events happening around the world. This rebranding as a sort of alternative news source skyrocketed Ogrish's notoriety, also landing them in a lot of hot water. In 2002, Ogrish would be investigated by the FBI after being the first site on the internet to share the video depicting the execution of American journalist Daniel Pearl at the hands of jihadists. The ACLU would actually come to Ogrish's defense here, and the FBI ultimately halted the investigation without any charges being laid. Ogrish hadn't committed any crimes. They legally obtained their footage, often paying to license it. They were merely sharing the horrible things others did, but they weren't facilitating those crimes in any way. Still, Ogrish would only face more scrutiny the bigger it got. In 2005, the site would almost be completely blocked in several European countries due to a Tier 1 network ban. Despite this, Ogrish would still continue to grow, but just—
Okay guys, not gonna lie to y'all. My hair hurts like a bitch right now, bro. I'm gonna end stream right now, and I'm gonna stream later. I will play Roblox. It's because I have family in the living room trying to call my name, but I was ignoring it for y'all. But guys, don't worry, I'm gonna stream later. I have all day. I have nothing to do. See y'all later.